Hello and welcome. It's Wednesday, the 9th of November, 2022, and this is my first vlog of the month. Now, with the recent political shenanigans going on in the UK, as you can imagine, I've got two main questions that have been flooding through to me, so here they are. The first is from America. The main question is, how is it someone can become Prime Minister in the UK without a general election? And then from the UK, many of you have asked how can the Labour Party be taken seriously on the economy when in the past they have left the country bankrupt? Okay, I can see that this is going to be a bit of a minefield for me, so I'm going to deliberately sidestep any political traps, and I'm just going to state the facts as I know them. Yes, having 3 prime ministers within 3 months is an extraordinary and, in some people's minds, appalling situation without having a general election. But we have to sort of look through history, and in recent history, since the Second World War, in America, your presidents have changed mid-term. Harry S. Truman took over from Roosevelt, and Lyndon B. Johnson took over from JFK, and Gerald Ford took over from Nixon. So it's not unusual there, and they didn't call a general election immediately, or a presidential election, whatever the Americans call it. Now, in the UK, governments are guided. Governments are sort of win an election, and it's generally for a term of 4 to 5 years. And it is convention that if there is the need to change the Prime Minister, they do so without a general election. There is an exception in the UK. In 1955, Anthony Eden took over from Winston Churchill and did a snap election immediately so he could have his own mandate. But he only lasted a couple of years, Paul Sol, and Harold Macmillan took over from him in 1957, but didn't call a general election until 1959. And then things got a bit wibbly-wobbly for Harold Macmillan, and in 1963, Sir Alec Douglas Hume took over, and but he only lasted a year or so, and he lost the election in 1964. Our next sort of non-elected Prime Minister was James Callaghan, who took over from Harold Wilson in 1976, and he lost the general election to Margaret Thatcher in 1979. And then, talking to Margaret Thatcher, John Major, when Margaret was deposed, took over from her in 1990, and he didn't call a general election until 1992. He won with a slim majority, which most people didn't expect. So I say top hat to John Major for managing to do that. And of course, Gordon Brown took over from Tony Blair in 2007 and lost the election to David Cameron in 2010. What's happened with the different leaders since then, I think it's best that we sort of sweep under the carpet, because it's all very embarrassing as far as I'm concerned. So you can see it is convention that for whatever party is in power, they stay for that length of time, and they can change their leader when they wish to. Now, the question of the Labour Party not being fiscally sound, or for the Tory party for being fiscally sound. Well, we need to look at this, because I think when we look into it, it doesn't really stack up to what was actually going on. When the Labour Party took over in 1964, the UK was nearly bankrupt. Things weren't working well for Harold Macmillan, and when Sir Alec Douglas Hume took over, he didn't really have enough time to turn things round. And so, with the help with Harold Wilson, the United States helped bail us out. Then Ted Heath, his tenure came to an end in 1974, and we were really in the quagmire. Some people put it down to us entering the European Economic Community, the EEC, but I'm not too sure what the reasons are. But we were in dire straits, and that's why the incoming Labour government had to get a loan from the International Monetary Fund, which was actually paid off within 4 years. What can I say to that? Margaret Thatcher had this reputation of being fiscally sound, but actually, in reality, throughout her 11 years, we had a recession 2 or 3 times, and the policies put in place to try and deal with that didn't really work, and actually led to John Major's Black Wednesday crisis in September 92, and then ultimately led to the huge worldwide financial crisis in 2008. So most of the governments in the UK in particular come to an end, sticky end, through economics, and this is purely because economics is not a true science, and it needs regular adjustments. Now, Adam Smith was a Scottish economist in the 1700s, and he's credited with being the sort of father of modern-day economics, and he always said that fiscal ideologies needed to be flexible. I suspect there'll be some thinking I'm talking baloney, but I think if you do your own research, you will find that what I say is accurate. It can be argued that the reputation of being fiscally sound, the Tories, it is in fact, in reality, a fiscal fallacy. And I don't wish to sort of upset everybody, but that's the reality of things. All politicians use smoke and mirrors to try and pacify us, and most politicians are extremely honourable. But we are witnessing a period now where some politicians are self-serving, they are dishonest and disrespectful. And my question is, who are the people who select them? And above all, who are the people that vote for them? Anyway, I think I should move on before I get a fatwa. Moving on, so this week is Remembrance Sunday here in the UK. I think in America you call it Veterans Day. And it's a time that we remember those who've made the ultimate sacrifice, those who are living with life-changing injuries gained during battle, and those who are still serving us. So let's concentrate more on things that unite us rather than things that divide us. So to the honourable dead, to the honourable serving us, and to everybody else who is honourable, I'll speak to you again soon.